It is day 123 of Putin's wildly unnecessary invasion to the sovereign country of Ukraine. And this marks just over 4 months since I pretty much stopped posting anything to Twitter that wasn't involved with Ukraine. And that's really what this episode's all about today. I essentially just didn't want people's attention to be on anything else other than Putin's invasion of Ukraine. So that's all I was posting to Twitter. And since I think it's like 4 months and 2 days ago, I've had plenty of time to rethink my stance on that, my opinion on it. And here's where I am. This war is not going to end. It very easily could end as soon as the rest of the world decides that they've had enough of a complete maniac killing innocent people. But the world doesn't want to do that yet. So this episode is, well, let's get into it first off. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever, what we're going to do today is I'm going to read some tweets that haven't seen the light of day yet. So first things first, it is a little bit of a change up. I do realize that. Essentially, there's a couple of reasons why I am doing this, and I'm going to be like back on Twitter like normal. You guys, I was trying my best to not even like anything on Twitter that wasn't involved with Ukraine. I don't know. It was just, I don't know, whatever. It was what I wanted to do, but I reevaluated that, and that's not so much the case anymore. Yeah, so if you guys saw yesterday, I posted, since February 24th, 2022, I've been conducting my own little protest against Putin by trying to only tweet things that would keep attention on Ukraine. So this weekend, I'm ending my protest. A, I don't want to refrain from doing whatever I want because of some psychopath. 2, I have a lot to say. And 3, I just think my tweets are underrated. Shout out to my 505 followers. Glad to have you here. I don't know, like, you should always be your own biggest fan. And in terms of at least Twitter anyway, I'm definitely my biggest fan. So whatever. Every time I wanted to tweet something though, I did draft the tweet, but then I just saved it. So I've got a stockpile of tweets since Russia invaded Ukraine that are well past due from being published. So today, right now, this episode, I'm going to be sharing those tweets and comments, context around it before publishing them into the Twitter world. So it's going to be kind of interesting because my memory is horrible. So I honestly don't know if I'm going to remember all of the tweets, like what I was even talking about. So that'll be kind of fun to revisit it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, this isn't to, again, take away from what's happening in Ukraine, but at the same time, like, I don't want to not be doing something because of somebody else, especially when it's Putin, but it is what it is. So again, shout out to the people that are either following or subscribed. I appreciate it. There's my plug. Again, the podcast, you can listen to it on technically YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, of course, and then you can watch it on YouTube or on Spotify, actually. So it was kind of cool. The last episode, the Mandela effect is really an information manipulation experiment, was kind of the busiest episode I've had recently, especially in terms of like the Roaming Thoughts podcast. And so that was kind of fun to see, like, the views and the comments and stuff like that. I appreciate you guys for watching and commenting and all that. I don't necessarily always understand what you're saying in your comments, but hey, by all means, like, appreciate it. So that was really cool. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna kind of get into it. And so for that, I'm actually gonna switch screens because I can't, interestingly enough, I can't pull up my drafts on a computer with Twitter because they were drafted on my phone. So I found that really interesting that it doesn't it saves the drafts on Twitter on your phone, but it doesn't save them on Twitter on a computer. So that was a little, I guess, something that I learned. So I'm also trying to step my game up a little bit and make the videos themselves a little bit more like eye-catching. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to read through all these tweets. Like, you should at least be able to see them. So what's going to happen is I think it'll be like 13 at a time. You'll see like a full list because obviously I haven't tweeted them, so they're all in the list. So we'll take a huge look at all of them, like the first 13 or so right off the bat, and then I'll just kind of scroll down one by one. But again, be reading them all out loud too. So I'm a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because I honestly don't remember. That's 4 months worth of me tweeting that I stopped doing, and I've been on Twitter since July of 2009. I have over 8,600 tweets. So yeah, I just like Twitter, you guys. I always have. It's just one of those things where you can just like randomly throw out whatever you want. And quite frankly, just like this podcast, like I selfishly just do it for myself because it's just entertaining. Like I said, I'm my biggest Twitter fan. So let's get into this. We'll get this started here with the drafts. All right. I'm gonna also switch this up too so that this looks there. Look how nice that looks. Cool. All right. I'm gonna say, if you guys are watching this, this is some primo quality videography that I'm doing right now. So we're in the drafts. All right, here we go. Tweet number 1. Why does it feel like President Biden has been in office for like a million years? Is it just me? Because I actually had to Google this. Like, he was inaugurated January 20th, 2021. So he has been in office for what, a year and a half now, and he still has 2.5 years to go. I don't know. It just feels like he's been president like my whole adult life. It's wild. Here we go. Next one. If you order a burger at a restaurant and you proceed to eat it with a knife and fork, you're insane. This is actually I'm already entertained with myself. Because you have to think, like, at the very oldest tweet, it had to have come no sooner than, I would imagine, no sooner than February 24th of this year. And right now it's June 25th. So I guess, like, I wish it had a timestamp where I could see what day I wrote them on, but it doesn't. So I can't. Like, let's take a look. I don't think it does anyway. No, it definitely doesn't tell you when. So, bummer. Okay. Yeah. Why does it feel like President Biden has been in office for like a million years? Tweet number 2 is, if you order a burger at a restaurant and proceed to eat it with a knife and fork, you're insane. I'm hoping I just saw that on like TV or something, and I don't know. All right. If you were a mouse, would you rather eat a pickle or a strawberry? And why did you choose strawberry? Holy cow, this is going to be an adventure, you guys. You're home alone. Are you using the restroom with the door open or closed? This one I actually have a poll on. So like I said, I'm going to just post all this stuff. I don't know how I'm going to do it. If I'm going to just like post a few every day, or if I'm just going to like let them all rip this weekend or what. But yeah, it's going to be interesting with all the tweets that are going to be coming out. But yeah, think about that one. If you're home alone and you're using the restroom, is that door open or closed? Okay. You know what? I'll give you context. Here's the fun thing about this episode is there's no context in Twitter, right? When you see a post, like, it is what it is. Maybe there's a link to an article, maybe there's a video, maybe it's a thread. But for my tweets, it's pretty much just the tweet right there. So I'm giving you the context behind it. So I will tell you my answer. If I'm home alone and I'm using the restroom, you better believe that door is closed. Am I weird for that? Let me know. If you were a mouse, oh, again, here with these mouse scenarios. If you were a mouse, would you rather eat an olive or a grape? And why was it an olive? I don't even like olives, but for me, like I'm thinking if I was a mouse and I had an olive or a grape, I'm eating the olive, but I really don't know why. Next. See, this is what I'm saying. It's not Ukraine related. Day 123 of the Ukraine invasion, though. Sometime in the last 4 months, I tweeted out, Sean Livingston still play for the Warriors? No idea. Some of these are actually going to be like replies to other tweets. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that up like in the draft or not. So we'll see that too. Okay, next. I'm so glad we paid DFS. I don't know. Again, I'm a huge NBA fan, Dallas Mavericks all the way. It's been wild not to post any content talking about my favorite sports team of all time because they had an insane run this year. You guys, Western Conference Finals, yo, like, oh my gosh, that was just so exciting. But I'm also a little superstitious because the year the Mavericks won the finals in 2011, I really was like pretty hands off with honestly, like I was fairly hands off in terms of like, I wasn't obsessed with watching every game. I didn't have to be on Twitter and like posting stuff. I was pretty detached from following the NBA. And part of it was because I knew how good the Mavericks were doing. So I was like, well, geez, if I watch the game, then they're going to lose. So whatever. And that's kind of how this ended up playing out this year too. So like my superstition is so real with this. Like the less I have eyes on my favorite team, like we do better. So I don't know. But yeah, we paid Dorian Finney-Smith. Dude's like such a likable guy, humble. I think he was undrafted. Mavericks took him in, and he's one of the best defenders in the league. So what a dude. Okay. Moving on here. Where are we at? We always talk about how incredible it was that Dirk took such a lower amount, but it just dawned on me how crappy and disrespectful was that of Cuban. So for those of you that don't know, NBA fans or Dallas Mavericks fans, all Dallas Mavericks fans know this. Dirk Nowitzki took so many pay cuts throughout his entire career. He's the only player to play 21 seasons with one team. Like I genuinely believe there'll never be another player that does what Dirk did. Over the course of his career, though, he took multiple pay cuts, essentially to free up cap room so that the team could spend money on essentially better teammates. And I think somebody fact check me on this, but I think it ended up totaling out to be like $230 million that Dirk essentially left on the table by, taking discounts or staying with the Mavs. And one day it just dawned on me earlier this winter, like, that's great of Dirk. Like, that was awesome. But was that not kind of crappy for Mark Cuban? Like, what was that conversation like, right? Was Cuban like, yo, here's the Brinks truck and the kitchen sink. And then Dirk said, no, I'm going to take a cut because I want you to spend that money. Or was it like, hey, Dirk, we can sign you to this, but would you be open to taking less money so that we can hopefully get some better talent for you? Like, I really wonder what that conversation was like, because one day it just dawned on me. I'm like, was Cuban being like taking advantage of him or not? Like, I don't know. So, the next tweet was scared 80 years ago, scared today. I'm going to guess. Okay. So I actually remember this one. So this one was, I'm actually replying too. Okay, cool. So we can see the replies. So this is kind of neat. So I guess I'll click on them. So the Kiev Independent tweeted out, Macron refuses to call. This was April 13th. Wow, I did go a long time without tweeting, I guess. If this was April and the invasion started in February, I essentially went a month and a half without putting anything in my drafts, really. I think we're on tweet 6 or 7 right now. Anyway, Macron refuses to call Russian atrocities genocide. French President Emmanuel Macron said, quote, "I would be careful with such terms today because these two peoples, Russians and Ukrainians, are brothers." And yes, so I said scared 80 years ago, scared today. That was kind of like a jab at the French government, honestly, falling to Nazi Germany back in World War II. And then again, today, essentially being afraid to call a spade a spade. What Russia's doing is genocide. Their Russian propaganda spins it as if Russians and Ukrainians are brothers, but it's very racially driven what they're doing. So, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was 9 tweets. So we're 1/10 of the way through, 1/9. All right, next tweet. For you NBA fans, Brandon Ingram and Kevin Durant are the same. Okay. Kevin Durant has more confidence, I would say, at least on the outside. I think he's actually a very insecure person, which makes me sad for him. It's sad to see that people get so bothered by, things, especially like random fans tweeting at him or whatever. But Brandon Ingram and Kevin Durant are the same, all right? Height, weight, it's all similar. Play style, like, I really don't care for Kevin Durant. Okay, so the next tweet, but he's an all-star. Oh, yeah, okay, yep, I see the reply here. So this was a reply to Legion Hoops, who I unfollowed, by the way. Legion Hoops, at Legion Hoops, I unfollowed them because yesterday night, I think it was yesterday night, was the NBA draft, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, was the NBA draft. And like this Paolo Banchero, guy from Duke, got drafted #1 overall. And Legion Hoops comes out and says, I think his name's Jabari Smith. They're like, Jabari Smith will be taken #2 overall by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And like a minute later, Chet Holmgren is out of Gonzaga, gets drafted #2 overall to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so immediately I was like, okay, Legion Hoops, just to me, they have lost all credibility in something like that. Like, don't tweet it unless you actually know it. And clearly they didn't know it. So I unfollowed them right away, and they deleted the tweet of them tweeting out that, Jabari was going to get picked. And then everybody just lit them up. When they posted then that Chet was drafted #2, everyone in the comments just lit them up, and it was pretty satisfying. So either way, the original tweet back on May 1st, the Warriors could look into trading for Rudy Gobert in the offseason via ESPN. Andrew Wiggins would be dealt to Utah. And then I just tweeted, I was like, but he's an all-star. Like, Andrew Wiggins being an all-star. I think he was a starter too. Was he a starter? I don't know. I think he was a starter, but oh my gosh, an all-star. Yes, the Warriors won. I'm good with it because the Mavericks lost to the Warriors. So like, we lost to the champs. But Andrew Wiggins as an all-star, come on. Well, he's out. Okay, Bleacher Report. I don't think it's my job to mentor him. Ryan Tannehill on mentoring Malik Willis. I don't follow the NFL that much, but I know like Tennessee drafted some quarterback or something, and then Ryan Tannehill, who is a familiar quarterback, well-known quarterback. I wouldn't say great or anything, but I feel like if you say Ryan Tannehill, almost every NFL fan or semi-NFL fan or people familiar with the NFL, they would recognize like, oh, that's a quarterback. He probably was a starter. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I don't think it's my job to mentor him. So I was just saying, well, he's out of a job. I don't know what's happened since then, but yeah, let me know. John Morant is Russell Westbrook Part 2. Change my mind on that. Athleticism, this like underdog mentality that the whole world is out to get him and everybody's an enemy. Like, just like Brandon Ingram is Kevin Durant, John Morant is Russell Westbrook. I'd like to see John Morant and Brandon Ingram on the same team though. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Okay. And now who all is eating their own words? Ben Simmons will undergo back surgery. May 5th, Bleacher Report, Ben Simmons will undergo back surgery. I said, oh, and now who all is eating their own words? I think it's because he sat out when he was going to come back, and like right around the playoffs, like he was going to come back if they advanced the next round or something. But like he sat out and people were like, oh, he's quitting on his team, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, like he had back surgery. So I was like, I guess people were wrong. I don't know. All right, I've got an animated GIF, and it's got to be in response to something. I've got Jack Black as Nacho Libre doing his like weird like squatting position down. I mean, if you're watching the video, you can see it. And it's in response to NBA memes. What do these two have in common? They both can't hit a shot. And it is a stormtrooper and some guy for the Sixers. I actually don't even know why I tweeted this. Like, no idea. No clue. Couldn't tell you. Sorry, but it is what it is. All right, next. When you realize Dirk Nowitzki is not on this list, you learn to appreciate what he did a little bit more. That was in response to the NBA congratulating Steph Curry for becoming the first player in NBA history to have 500 career three-pointers in the playoffs. And I thought that was interesting. Like I said, when you realize Dirk's not on that list, and it's a list of like the top 10, right? When you realize that Dirk's not on that list, just what he was able to accomplish, like, I don't know, like whatever. I'm a Dirk fan. Leave me alone. Okay. A lot of these look to be replies, so I think I'll read what I'm replying to first. So Landon Thomas tweeted out, Shaq, quote, Luka's a great player, but sometimes as a great player, you can do too much. Charles tried to do it himself. It didn't work. I tried to do it in Orlando. It didn't work. You can't play by yourself and win. I said, to be clear, Shaq isn't saying Luka can't win on his own. He's challenging him to win on his own. Don't believe me? See his quotes regarding the Gobert beef. So yeah, this was actually just to put something into perspective for people. Because if I would have just read that first tweet, I would have thought like literally what Shaq's saying, if you read it word for word, I would have been like, oh, so he's basically calling Luka selfish and saying he can't win. But I actually read this article, or maybe I watched an interview that Shaq had with somebody talking about his quote beef with Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert was basically saying like he could shut Shaq down or something if they were ever one-on-one in their prime. And Shaq came back and said like, not a chance, blah, blah, blah. But then he explained in this interview that when he is talking like that, he's actually trying to, it's really a challenge. It's out of respect that he's saying this. And so with that context, I'm like, this isn't Shaq saying that Luka legit can't do it. He's saying like, prove me wrong. I want to see you do this, because he has that respect for him, because he knows he's a great player. So yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to have some funny ones. A lot of them are NBA though. And like, it's crazy how much I held back from tweeting out this stuff. Again, because I wanted the focus to be on Ukraine, and it's still not over. I'm not going to not tweet about Ukraine. But like I said, I didn't want my decision on what I posted on social media or not to stem from the dude in Russia. Like, come on, America. Okay. Let's see here. Add it to my wish list. This is definitely in response to something. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm a big coin nerd. Like I love coins. So American Numismatic Association tweeted out, graders at Independent Coin Graders certified several unusual 2022 American Silver Eagles that had a shiny incuse ring near the rim around part of the coin. No one at ICG has seen something to this extent on Silver Eagles before. And I said, add it to my wish list. I'm trying to build, I'd like to build a American Silver Eagle full set collection, like proof and business strike. So yeah, I just love coins. So, but PCGS is for my American Silver Eagle collection. I'm doing it in PCGS slabs. So for those that like know about Pokemon cards or sports cards and they get them in slabs, they've been doing it for coins since I think the same time that they started with cards, they did it with coins. It was like 1984, 85, 86. And so yeah, that my ASE collection is going to be strictly in PCGS holders. So we'll save that bad boy. I wish I could click on them and see like the context of the tweet because I want to see a picture of the coin and it won't let me. So that's okay. All right. Let's see here. Oh, this is something. Okay. So this is something that since the invasion of Ukraine, I've just been like trying to learn more about other conflicts in the world. And this one has really, really, really troubled me. And I think at times I've even retweeted or maybe posted something in reference to this. But the Israel-Palestine like conflict is so disturbing to me that I'm like dumbfounded that this is a thing. Like I'm floored that Russia invaded Ukraine. They stole Crimea, what, 8 years ago, and they're essentially going to do the same thing. And like the world just lets this happen. But like Israel and Palestine, like I can't believe I didn't know the history behind how this all happened. But I just tweeted out, or I had a tweet drafted. Not entirely sure why media outlets are so nonchalant about Israeli-Palestinian relations, racist hatred on both sides that could be avoided. So next one. Let's see. All these government officials thanking Polish government officials for how they've responded to the Ukrainian refugee crisis, as if they've had any real help in opening citizens' private homes. Yeah, this was just honestly a jab at the Polish, or not the Polish government, well, kind of the Polish government, but other governments around the world. Because like, I think the number's at like 3 or 4 million Ukrainian refugees are in Poland. And a vast majority of them are here due to the fact that everyday Polish citizens just straight up opened up their home. Or if they were selling a house that was vacant, they would open up that vacant house. Or they had an Airbnb that was just like a rental, they opened it up for Ukrainian refugees to stay in. And I just got annoyed the day that whatever day it was that I wrote this tweet, I just got annoyed because these governments were just like, government officials and nations leaders were taking pictures, like shaking hands with each other, like, oh, thank you so much for what you've done. And like, it irked me a little bit just because, yes, there are refugee centers and stuff and like organizations and all this, but I don't think you could have seen the transition take place from these refugees leaving Ukraine and coming into Poland to the magnitude that it has happened if it weren't for the everyday Polish citizens just taking it upon themselves to lend a helping hand. So that was the context behind that tweet. Let's see here. What do we got next? Oh, let's see here. All right, so I was responding to Fox News. On May 16th, they said, Fauci says he'll leave White House if Trump wins 2024 election. And I said, it's wild that Fauci just inadvertently secured Trump more voters by saying this. It's kind of a jab at Fauci because I'm just saying like some people don't like him. So by him saying he'll leave the White House, that might actually have given more people a reason to vote for Trump because they might not like him. I don't know, hee hee ha ha. Okay, next one, LOL. Can't trick the real stackers into believing this garbage. What am I responding to? It's definitely something precious metals related. Reuters on May 17th, spot gold fell on Monday following 4 straight weeks of decline. Analysts predict the momentum is heading away from the once shiny safe haven. Yeah, okay, so precious metals is one of the most, stock markets, whatever, it's all manipulated, but precious metals is just disgustingly manipulated. And so I was really responding to this because I'm like, yo, Reuters is trying to tell us like that analysts are saying precious metals and gold in particular is, you know, not a safe haven. Come on. Gold has been like a storage of wealth since humans discovered it. Okay. So I'm like, all right, please. I just responded. I said, can't trick the real stackers into believing this garbage. I'm like, people that actually know precious metals know that like you're going to be fine. Okay. Let's see here. Next one. Is this a response? No. Okay. Just a straight up tweet. What does the queen carry in her purse? Think about it. Like, you're the Queen of England. You're 533 years old. You pretty much go everywhere in a controlled environment. Like, you've got handlers, you have vehicles, you have like what's in the purse? What is in your purse? She always has a purse whenever she goes out anywhere. What's in the purse? I gotta know. What is in the Queen's purse? Next one. Unpopular opinion. I don't believe the US men's national team and the US women's national team should be paid the same. Controversy. Ooh, he said something controversial. Ooh. Listen, here's why. And this is in reference to the US soccer national soccer teams. I think what had happened was like something came out that they're going to be starting to get paid equally or something. And the reason that I don't agree with it is just for the sole fact of like, if you look at it from a business structure, right? What teams or business entities are bringing in more money? The men's national team gets more viewership, gets more sponsors because of viewership. So I think because it generates more money itself, that's why they should get compensated according to what type of money they're generating. And that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go with that. So, all right. Joe Rogan is the same as Dana White, just as Travis Scott is A$AP Rocky. The simulation is broken. I'm convinced. Hey, John Morant is Russell Westbrook. Brandon Ingram is Kevin Durant. Joe Rogan is Dana White, and Travis Scott is A$AP Rocky. Okay, it is what it is. I don't make the rules. I just call it as I see it. Kind of funny how if a majority of people woke up tomorrow and decided spaghetti was the new form of currency, then that would just happen. Okay, we're talking about inflation and everything, and I just sit there and I find it so funny, like. You guys, that's real. Like, honestly, that's all it would take. If a majority of the people, and let's just say America, for instance, if a majority of Americans decided that they are going to do transactions with spaghetti instead of this paper that we call money, that's what the currency would then be. Like, money used to be, in the United States and a lot of other countries, money was backed by precious metals, whether it was silver or gold, okay? So there was actual intrinsic value behind the fiat money. Nowadays, that's not the case. So you can just print and whatever. Because of that, if we just decided like, nah, we're going to go with spaghetti. Spaghetti is going to be how we pay for things. That would just be it. Like, I don't know. It's funny to think of the trivial nature that our world is. Okay. This one shook me, you guys. This tweet, okay, I was rattled. I found this out like randomly on the drive to a mall, and then I just did a crap ton of research on it. Canada became independent in 1867, but only got their flag in 1965. Like, my parents are almost as old as the flag of Canada, but the country of Canada was established shortly after the Civil War. This to me was just literally mind-blowing. The rest of the tweet, this might not seem like meaningful information, but I'm shook. I didn't know this, and my life is forever changed by this knowledge. It really honestly is. Like, because then I went into this huge like rabbit hole of, okay, well, what about the US flag? We essentially had the same flag that we have today. We essentially had some variation of that from the time we became the United States of America. So I'm just like shook that Canada really didn't have a flag for the first 100 years of their existence as an independent country. Totally like, what the heck? Okay. I'm going to challenge any of you that are listening to this, just like go, like when I start posting these tweets, like just throw me a heart or a retweet or be like, dude, your opinion's stupid. Like, I don't care, whatever. Okay. This has to be in response to something? No. Okay. I have no idea why I put this, but I said, can't spell hoax without a hoe. I don't know why I did that, honestly. You know what word is such an inconvenience? I'll leave it at that. Let's see. A lot of these are just standalone tweets. I'm not doing any replies. Okay. WHO, World Health Organization, built up its credibility, end quote, through the you know what virus, only to gamble it all away on 130 cases worldwide of chimp bumps. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, next. Oh, and then there were like 7 laughing emojis. All right, next one. Kind of funny how cryptos sponsor things, LOL. You don't see the US dollar or Mexican peso sponsoring arenas or race cars. I actually do find that funny. And what's crazy is I probably, this tweet was probably back when like Bitcoin was at a normal price, like 40,000 or something, or 50,000, whatever. Its high, I think, was like 70,000 or something. I don't know what it is today, but it was as low as like 20 grand or something. So it's dropped like 70% since January, which is pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, kind of interesting that currencies are sponsoring stuff. Like, what's up with that? All right. Next one. This is a poll, okay? Is America the safest country in the world? You have 2 choices, no, or no, but with a pickle. Okay. Okay, Colt. All right. Does Jimmy Butler have that Mamba mentality? I guess hindsight's always 20/20, but it's probably not that interesting of a tweet. Now that I probably wrote this when they were in the playoffs, obviously, and I think they had a game 7 or something. So I'm sure that that's what spawned that tweet. So okay. P.S. 19 police officers stood right outside the door to the classroom for over 40 minutes. And now we're seeing a lot come to light from this situation. Turns out the door is unlocked. Turns out multiple people, including law enforcement, wanted to breach the door and go in. Turns out they didn't even check to see if it was locked. Parents were being detained because they were wanting to go into the school and go in there themselves. And I also heard that they're planning on demolishing the school. I think they did it with Sandy Hook. They demolished the school. They're going to demolish this one too. Evidence? Like, why would you do, like, I just don't get it. Why would you do that? I don't think they did it with Columbine. I don't think they tore down the school. And like, why, what's the reason? Like, oh, it's a scar, or it's an emotional, whatever. Like, I can't relate to that clearly, but it just sounds super sketch to go through the, like, you could just leave the school and go build a new one. But then, like, either way, either option, whether you just go build a new one or you demolish that and go build a new one, taxpayer money, right? Like, I don't know, whatever. On to the next. So sick of this Israeli-Palestinian stuff. You know, do a little research on it. It's wildly fascinating. It's no different than the colonization of America, if you really want to look at it, because essentially what happened was people just drew borders and said, this is it now. And that's kind of really what happened. Okay. You're literally walking into a Muslim mosque with Jewish flags. Like, what? Yeah, this was like something that was happening, obviously, in Palestine, Israel, something like protesters or something. They walked into a mosque and they were with Jewish flags. Like, you're just wanting confrontation. You're creating conflict. I don't know. Let's see, what do we got here? Anyone else sickened by media outlets interviewing the murderer's family and children from the school almost immediately after the shooting? This one bothered me so much because right after the school shooting, like I saw interviews with this shooter's grandpa, and he was just like in shock. And they're asking stupid questions. They're like, if you would have known that he was going to do this, would you have done something differently? And like, first off, like, it's his grandson. He lost his grandson. But then like everything surrounding it, what his grandson did, like everything, like the man's in shock. I can't remember when exactly I saw this, but I'm guessing it was less than 48 hours after the actual event happened. And they're interviewing the guy, like, if you had known this, would you have done something differently? And he's like, yes, I would have done everything in the world differently. Like, and they're like, how did he get the gun? And he's like, I don't know that. And like, and then they're interviewing these kids and they're like, can you tell us what happened in there? Or can you tell us what it was like or what you heard? And it's like, yo, these are kids, like, whose parents are letting them, like, I don't know. To me, it was just really troubling that, like, they were just literally playing so hard on emotions that they were being so emotionally insensitive to the people that had just been most affected by the event. So, yeah, it is what it is. Here's something. So, why isn't the legal age of adulthood in the US 21? Okay. Legal drinking age is 21. Now the legal smoking age is 21. Legal age to buy a handgun is 21. At age 18, you can go to war, you can buy rifles. Okay. The age of consent, depending on the state in the US, is between the ages of 16 and 18. And you can get your driving license between the ages of 14 and 17. So like, I don't know. I don't really know what the purpose of that tweet was, but it was kind of just to like put things into perspective. Like, is there a rationale for why we have certain age restrictions on things? Like, you can, and I'm just going on the low end here. You can drive when you're 14. You can consent when you're 16. You can go to war when you're 18. And I don't know, but like maybe you can go earlier if you have like parental approval or something at 17. I don't know. You can go to war at 18, but you can't drink and smoke until you're 21. I don't know. Here's one of my proposals, and I may do an episode on this. So if I forget to mention this on that episode, I'm going to say it now. I do have a proposal though. If you're not going to change the age of any of this, I would at least offer, if you carry a military ID, you should be allowed to drink and smoke and buy a handgun, regardless of whether you're 21 years old or not. That's what I think. I personally don't believe that you should be able to go to war, handle military grade weapons, but then you come home and you can't have a beer or buy a handgun. Like, that's, again, just my opinion, but it is what it is. All right, next one. Uh-oh, did I double click? I hope I didn't delete that one. No, okay. Everyone talks about how bad the US economy is. Okay, I'm gonna edit this one real time. Everyone talks about how bad the US economy is while nothing has been done to update their travel policy for tourism. Since that tweet, the US has changed their travel policy where they do not require COVID testing. So there's that. You do have to have a vaccination to come into the US. Next tweet. There is nothing wrong with masculinity, just like there is nothing wrong with femininity. Next tweet. So annoying. People are just now finding out about pickleball. Okay. If I've got any listeners who at any point in time cross paths I got to be careful because I want to respect the privacy of people. If there are any people that crossed paths at the school where I went to high school and had a physical education course with Bob, you all know about pickleball, okay? I even think Oliver too. I think it was like pickleball was just a thing, man. And like I saw like, I don't know, on TikTok or maybe even Twitter and stuff, like people are like, oh, pickleball is new, fastest growing sport here, and here. And I'm like, yo, pickleball has always been a thing. Like I remember our Christmas pickleball tournament. Like pickleball was it, man. Oh, it was such a fun game. I don't think I played it since high school, but pickleball it's a good time. All right. So this was a tweet that I basically had, and I was going to tweet it. And I think I've done this a couple times where the tweet itself has nothing to do with Ukraine, but I did use a hashtag, or I did just say a random thing so that the attention was still partially on Ukraine. So this tweet is, I just really love coins. Hashtag 100 days of war in Ukraine. And it's crazy to think that we're like 123 days in. Disgusting. Okay. Hey, I remember this one. My mom would not have been proud with what I put in our dishwasher. The best part of living on my own is that my mother cannot tell me how to load the dishwasher. Mom, I will say, if you're listening to this, I did ruin the pan that I put in the dishwasher and I had to buy a new one. So you're almost always right. Next tweet. This very well may be the most terrifying quote of my lifetime. Oh, I don't know if I've been showing all of these. I thought it would always show that it's a reply. Okay. The quote coming from Fox News. Enough. President Joe Biden calls on Congress to do something on gun reform after shootings. That's not what I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is the picture on the tweet that I said may be the most terrifying quote of my lifetime. President Biden said, the Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute. And, you know, reading this today is a very, I'm going to use this word. I don't even know if I'm using it correctly. Reading this tweet today after what's been happening is very retrospective in the sense that the Supreme Court ruled against federal protection on abortion. And some people refer to the right stemming from the 14th Amendment, okay? Which, like I said, this is where it gets interesting because Biden's quote saying the Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not obsolete. Absolute, sorry, not obsolete, absolute. Basically, President Biden says, it does not matter what your rights are or what is in the Constitution, nothing is absolute. And it's, like I said, it's very interesting because I guess he was right, not about the Second Amendment, but he was right about the 14th. But I really do think it's a very dangerous quote to have a president say that your rights are not absolute. Because when the country was founded, that was essentially the idea, was you have inalienable rights, and inalienable rights mean that like they can't be taken from you. So, woof, yeah. Next one. Okay, this is a little bit messy of a tweet. So Mark Stein on June 4th tweeted out, the Nets are expected to hire Mavericks assistant coach Igor Kokoskov to serve as an assistant to Steve Nash on the Brooklyn bench. And then Slow Hoops fan, a Slovakian Hoops fan page, or Slovenian fan page on Twitter said, did not expect this, sad. And I said, I'm shocked that Igor would want to leave Luka. And it really confused me because it's not like Igor was taking a head coaching job. I think he coached in Brooklyn. I thought he was the head coach in Brooklyn before. But like, I'm just so confused why he took that job as an assistant coach when he was an assistant coach for the Mavs, and him and Luka's ties are so tight. Like, that one just really confused me. So I don't know. Fox News, NBA Finals between Celtics and Warriors is the least viewed game one in 15 years. And I said, imagine what having two international stars would have done for viewership. Could you have imagined the Mavs and the Bucks in the finals? Like, pretty similar teams where it's a superstar and then a supporting cast, but then you have like all of Europe and a majority of Africa like involved in this, because Giannis with his African ties and his Greek ties, and then Luka obviously with his Slovenian ties, like viewership would have been pretty intense, I think. All right, next one. FYI, North Korea is going to have a heyday firing off missiles if it ever feels the US is in a position of weakness. And this is funny because I don't know when I wrote this, but like North Korea has been doing that. Next tweet. There is actually a plan to balance the US budget. Hashtag 6-penny plan. I think this is coming from, what is Senator Ron Paul out of like Kentucky or something. He actually has a budget plan to balance the budget. Like let's check right now. Let's see. What is the US national debt? And there's an actual debt clock. So let's see. We are now at over $30 trillion. I don't think this has to do with the national debt though. Now that I just said that, I don't think it has to do with the debt, but the budget itself, right? We don't want to spend more than what we make, and the government makes money off of taxes. So obviously it has a huge, the central premise around this budget is cutting the budget across the board against a whole ton of programs. I don't think Social Security or Medicare is part of that. I think that's like part of a big piece of the plan is to, make sure that that's still viable. But like, why doesn't this get more attention? Somebody actually came up with a plan. Like, you guys, come on. Next. Just to put it into perspective for you, Biden, i.e. the US, upset Mexico to the point where they don't want to associate with us. So the US hosted like some summit basically with all of the countries of the Americas, and Mexico refused to go because Biden did not want to include Cuba, and you'll have to forgive me. There were two other countries in South America that weren't invited either. I don't know if it was Colombia or Bolivia. I don't know. But Cuba and two other countries, mainly because of their political beliefs. And Mexico said, if everybody in the Americas isn't included, we're not going to be attending. And it's just kind of interesting to me that like, why not invite them all? Like, I don't know, like, are you that afraid of something? Like, are we not able to accept different belief? Like, clearly we can accept different belief systems because we've been letting Russia get away with for how long? But I don't know. I'm like, it's not a good position that we're in if Mexico doesn't even want to like hang out with us. Okay. Double clicked on that one. Let's try this again. All right, Reuters. Biden warns US inflation could last, quote, for a while. And then I said, a while equals until someone else is president and can make the decisions. I am critical. Yes, I will be critical of every president. Don't get me wrong. And that was from June 11th. I'm going to be critical of every president because if you believe that your politicians are doing an adequate job, you are now part of the problem. You should never, just like yourself, don't settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for stagnation. You should always want to improve, do better. That is exactly what you should expect from every politician, period. And the decisions that are being made in how the US is handling inflation is a freaking embarrassment. Now we're going to be cutting, we want to cut federal and state taxes on gas because the prices are too high. And then, like, first off, that's not going to fix the problem. And then when you go reinstitute the taxes again, you think that's going to go over well because you're just going to be raising the prices anyway. And then you blame the gas stations for setting the prices. Like, I'm so annoyed, so annoyed. Yeah, this one was like when Bitcoin dropped off the freaking face of the earth. I said, well, crypto was a fun idea. I just wonder how many people had crypto. Like, think about it. If you went from 50 grand, let's say you bought in at $45,000 and you were with Bitcoin at $50,000, right? You made 5,000 off it if you had, one. But what if you had like so much where it's making you millions, and now you dropped all the way down to 20? Like, it's crazy. Crypto, just like fiat money, right? I think it's fiat. I want to make sure I'm using that term correctly. Fiat money. Yeah. Okay. So again, it's essentially, crypto is more or less the same as any fiat money, right? It's just what's backing it, right? For the US dollar, it's essentially Saudi Arabian oil. But yeah, crypto was a fun idea. What do we got next? I think this was a correction. Yes. Okay. So somebody was replying to Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang ran as I believe, I don't know if he ran as a Democrat or a Republican. I think it was in the 2016 election. A basis of his whole platform was having a $1,000, I think he called it a universal basic income, where everybody in America that was an adult, I believe, would get $1,000. I think he's a tech guy, he's an economist type guy. Long story short, he decided to leave both parties because he knows, like I wish everybody else in America knew, that the two-party system is absolute garbage. And he created the Forward Party. And now somebody responded to something that he said, and I don't think I can click on it, but they said those 4 states have a combined population of like New York City, yet they have 8 senators. Okay, so this person was referring to something that they were upset about, that Andrew Yang tweeted, saying something along the lines of like, the number of votes these states have in Congress, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know, when the Constitution was formed, right, they had to decide what Congress was going to look like. And after a series of deliberations, they decided on what we now have as the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate is basically equal representation. It is the higher house in Congress. The Senate has 2 representatives per state, regardless of population, geographic size, GDP, anything. Every state in the US has 2 senators. Now, the House of Representatives, in order to balance this, has representatives based off of the population. Okay, so North Dakota, for instance, has only 1 representative because our population doesn't cross the threshold. New York, I don't know, what do I have here? New York has 27 representatives, okay? Again, based off population. Now, this is what people fail to understand. Like, yes, the Senate is higher up, but like, you should put more stock in these representatives, because if New York has 27 of them, out of the 435 votes that are there, like, it adds up, right? And so I was just responding, I said, New York has 27 representatives, while those 4 states, and I think it was like Maine, South Carolina, Utah, and something else. I said, New York has 27 representatives, while those 4 states have a total of 14. Thank you, good night. Because again, Senate and the House, there is a balance between the 2. And yes, good job. Those 4 states each have 2 senators, just like New York does. But in the House, New York has way more. They have almost double than those 4 states because of population. Oh, read a government book. The White House press secretary is the most disgusting example of abuse of power that exists. Their job is solely to spread propaganda through the use of hot words and key phrases. Do yourself a favor and listen to 0% of what they speak of. Again, regardless of who's in office, regardless of the administration, regardless of political parties, I stand by that tweet. It is so difficult listening to White House press secretaries. I'm not in this episode. Government cares to show us what happened on blank, but will leave us questioning 9/11, Benghazi, elections, that thing, Ukraine. Okay. So I was replying to a tweet that said, Japan may be the most passively authoritarian country that has ever existed. And I said, this may be the most underrated tweet ever, #ratio, please. Because Japan did something, what did they do? Japan did something that was wild. And it's something with like internet bullying where like you can go to jail for a year for internet bullying or something. And like, I just think that that's such a dangerous thing. Like, depending on how they've defined bullying, like if you're making threats, that's one thing. But if you're bullying, saying like, haha, Dallas Mavericks suck. Like, I don't know, but it is interesting. Keep an eye on Japan. This tweet says yes. Now, what does it say yes to? Cut Boban and let us re-sign him. June 16th. Yeah, we traded Boban Marjanovic. But we traded him to the Rockets for Christian Wood, so that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, that'd be dope if Houston wanted to cut him and then we can just re-sign him because he's like literally one of the most pure human beings, I think, on the planet. And Luka loves him, so in Luka we trust. Elon Musk on May 24th. Some of these are from May. Some of these, I don't know if these are out of order or how this works, but I just realized like they're not all in order. Anyway, Elon Musk, US birth rate has been below minimum sustainable levels for about 50 years. And I said, in response, I said, people don't believe the best days are ahead of us. And that's a sad reality, but like, that's my opinion. Like, if I think back to the last 10 years or the next 10 years, like I think the last 10 years is better than what the next 10 has for us. Now, I'm not speaking like individually in my own life, but I'm just saying like on a global scale, like, yeah. They'll teach you how to paint, but not how to open the can. Think about it. Responding to CBS News, Ludig said Trump on June 16th. Ludig said Trump and his supporters are a clear and present danger to American democracy. And I said, LOL, quote, I want to start a civil war. I just think you should, if Macron can be careful about using dangerous language to upset Putin in Russia, then don't we think that people with a platform in government should not show caution to how they word things? Because like that, you're literally just trying to divide people. And it's just annoying. Okay. In response to Reuters on June 17th, a cosmetics factory in North Korea's capital, Pyongyang, was seen disinfecting facilities as the country continues to battle its first COVID outbreak. First off, let's break this one down. I thought we decided like within 3 months, the first 3 months of the pandemic, that it doesn't live on surfaces. So then what is the purpose of disinfecting surfaces? Okay, second thing, continues to battle its first COVID outbreak. Can we all be real here? Like, we know that like that's not true. If you genuinely believe that North Korea didn't get a single case until 2 years after the start of this, you are out of your mind. So my tweet basically just says, this is super confusing to me. Didn't we find out like in month 3 that it can't survive, transmit on surfaces, fake world? Like, oh my gosh. Okay, what do we have next? The government is doing whatever it wants and justifies it by saying this is fighting inflation. American people are getting robbed right before our very eyes. I don't know if that was in response to anything specific, but I did say it. Let's see. Did I respond? Nope. Okay. Another billion to Ukraine. So cool how the US has an unlimited money supply with 0 negative consequences. That was said with a lot of sarcasm, if you couldn't tell. Again, you guys know my thoughts on like Ukraine. Like, I believe every country could and should be doing much more than what they are, but it doesn't need to come at the price of $1 billion. It really doesn't. It just comes with having a backbone and doing the right thing. But we talk about inflation and stuff, but we'll just print up another $1 billion, send it over there, and then ask other countries to help us with an outbreak of a certain disease. Like, make it make sense. Responding to the Associated Press, China defended its tough zero COVID policy after the US ambassador said it is causing serious damage to the global economy. A spokesperson says China's economy is recovering from the pandemic and the policy is suitable for China's conditions. And I said, China says, quote, China first. Whoa, what a groundbreaking and controversial stance for a country to have. Like, I just want us to recognize the hypocrisy. I got to make sure I'm using that word right. And that died, so I can't. I want us to just recognize the hypocrisy, if I'm using it correctly, that this world is, okay? Is China being called racist because they are putting their country first? Like, I don't know what this tweet looks like, the responses and the replies to it. It's from June 17th. But like, other leaders in other countries have said this before, and then they get deemed like selfish, inconsiderate, racist, like all this stuff. And it's like, it's simply a country trying to prioritize itself before it tries to take on or help others. All right. No country on earth is more obsessed with race than the US. How can we be the melting pot if we're so busy separating the ingredients? One thing that I just find astonishing is how on job applications, or when you apply for jobs in the US versus Europe, in Europe, I found it wild that your resume should have a picture of yourself on there. I find that insane, because I'm like, oh, well, then it can be open to discrimination because they can judge you on your appearance, your age, your gender, like whatever. But then I'm like, on the flip side, I'm like, yeah, we don't do that in the US. What do we do in the US? You have to put on job applications. I have personally seen it. You put your gender, okay, and it went from M or F to MF or not disclosing, or MF or XYZ now. But then it'll take it a step further and say, what nationality are you? And then it'll say, what ethnicity are you? And then it'll say, what is your sexual orientation? Next tweet. Hey, if anyone needs someone for their softball league or gold scramble, kill me. Hey, if anyone needs someone for their softball league or golf scramble this summer, please leave me out. Thanks. Unions are stupid. Okay, and it's funny because I used to be a part of a union, but genuinely I thought it was stupid, because if I work with 10 other people, and even one of those persons is the worst employee in the world and just doesn't seem to care about their work, they have no work ethic, they show up late, whatever the reason, that I don't feel as if they should get paid the same as me. Why would I want to be a part of a union where we're demanding certain things and then I can't negotiate my own thing? Like, if you can't do it yourself, that's your fault. I'm sorry. Like, it is, because if I know that I could go negotiate my work contract to a point where I would be satisfied, I don't care if somebody else does the same thing and gets more than me. Like, good for them. They clearly deserve it, or at least they did whatever it took, or worked hard enough, or did the right things to get that, right? If I did it for myself and I wanted a 6% raise and I got it, I'm like, cool, I'm happy. Like, worry about yourself, right? I get the whole like not wanting to get taken advantage of thing, but that happens. That's life. Like, the only way that you can combat that, aside from this whole union thing, is like, do it yourself, research stuff, become invaluable, build those skills, and practice like negotiating. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know what this was in reference to, but DSA, baby, DSA. I will let you decide what the first letter stands for, but obviously SA, and then there's an American flag behind it, so you can fill in the blank there. I feel like America is more divided now than it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago. Shrugging emoji. I am curious about this one. Like this tweet, if Bitcoin's drop in value has negatively affected the way you're living your life, because I genuinely want to know this. Like, I have a little bit in Bitcoin, but like with its price drop, like it hasn't affected me really. Like, it sucks, but I'm not like scrounging around at McDonald's because of it now. Okay, so I am curious. So if that is you, like, find that tweet when I do post it, which will be after this episode's uploaded, and yeah, let me know. I'm curious. You want to talk about inflated prices? Look at the 1921 Morgan dollar. Ha! You guys, that is the most widely produced. I'm gonna get my book right now. Again, coin nerd, whatever. Morgan dollars are like the staple in the coin collecting community. Okay, and I'll show you a picture here if you're looking. Right, that is the Morgan silver dollars. If you ever see them, definitely hang on to them. They're worth more than a dollar. Do not spend it. But one of the lowest minted silver dollars, Morgan silver dollars, is, let's just take the 1893 San Francisco Morgan dollar. 100,000 were minted. Okay. The 1921 Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco minted Morgan dollars. There are over 85 million of them. And in this price book, at an MS63, for those of you that would know what that means, is basically $48 to $85. And these things are just selling for just stupid money, and I don't understand why, because they're not worth it. So I'm like, you want to talk about inflation? Look at that price. Okay. If I haven't lost you yet, and if I haven't lost you because of that coin tweet, here's the next one. Our country is being destroyed and we only have ourselves to blame. Really, like, it sucks, man. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love America, but we got to just sit down, have a difficult conversation, call a spade, and work on our problems. That's really, we have to be humble enough to recognize it. And yeah, we're getting more recent now. Pulling the tax off of gas is not a constructive way to combat inflation. They are doing it here in Europe right now, and everybody knows that this is, they literally did what Biden is suggesting, and they took the tax off of petrol, and we're gonna do that. And it's like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. One of two things, one of three things. The price either goes down, and then they're gonna credit the fact that they took the tax off, and then they'll put the tax back on, and then the price will raise again. Two, the price will not change at all, and eventually they're going to have to put that tax back on, and people will have gotten used to not paying it, and then they're going to be twice as mad when they reinstitute the tax again. Or three, the price is still going to raise because of inflation and BS product changes, or whatever they're calling it, product sources, whatever. price is going to raise, and then they're still going to have to put that tax back on, and people are going to be even more upset. Like, how do you think that that's a long-term solution? William Gates has 60 million followers here on Twitter. I'll say at least 10 million don't have a heartbeat, i.e., they're fake. I don't really think, are 60 million Twitter people really following him? I don't know. He does throw out like paid advertising though, and that's annoying. I was all about EVs until someone challenged a Tesla driver to go to the Yukon. I saw this on TikTok, I think, and it was a guy that just loves his Tesla, whatever. And somebody said, I bet you can't drive to Yukon territory. So he typed it into his Tesla map where it shows like the best road trip so that you can hit all of the charging stations. And yeah, sure enough, he can't go there. And for me, it's like, well, Colt, are you really going to go to the Yukon? And I'm like, that's not the question. The question should be, do I want to have the ability to go there? Yes, I do. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of electric vehicles, but like that one shook me. I want to drive up to Alaska and like couldn't do that if I had an electric vehicle, but okay. In theory, I know, like there's ways around it, you can figure it out, but okay. LOL at everyone celebrating Title IX and then trying to deny genders. This one, you guys, again, I'm just one dude with an opinion, okay? I just found it funny. I think it was earlier this week, actually. Title IX celebrated like 50 years of being a thing. And it basically like grants equality or equal opportunity to boys and girls and whatever. And it's just, again, like, why do we recognize Title IX if genders are, I don't know what the right term is, like fluid or non-existing? Then wouldn't we want to ask for repeal for Title IX? I don't know, like, whatever. Yeah, here we go, Legion Hoops. Yes, this is it, what I talked about really early on. The Thunder are selecting Chet Holmgren with the #2 overall pick in the NBA draft. And I commented and I said, so glad everyone's lighting up the comments on LH posting Jabari and deleting it. No account has ever earned an unfollow quicker than them. Yeah, we're almost getting down to the end of it here. So I responded to ABC News. GOP rep Liz Cheney speaks to the, quote, millions of Americans who put their trust in Donald Trump. And the quote, if I can read it, says, it can be difficult to accept that President Trump abused your trust, that he deceived you. Many will invent excuses to ignore that fact, but that is a fact. Oh, okay. And I said, for the record, this isn't Trump specific. All politicians have deceived us, period. Okay. So it's just super annoying to me that politicians try to have you turn on other politicians by saying exactly what they've done to us too. Like, it's a slap in the face to the American people, and we honestly deserve better than that. Okay. All right. What do we got next? Oh yeah. Regardless of why there was a baby food shortage in the US, it is globally embarrassing. Done. This one shook me, you guys. This was yesterday, okay? And I dated it because it shook me. I did not know this. I was scrolling through Twitter, and I think it was on Reuters. It said like a first edition version of J.K. Rowling's first book, Harry Potter, is going up for auction. And I saw the picture of it, and it said Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It said Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And it was hilarious because I just posted a video. The last episode was on the Mandela effect. And sure enough, I thought I was having a Mandela effect moment because I'm like, no, that's not the right book. It is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Only in the US, you guys. In the US, J.K. Rowling's first book is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. But everywhere else in the world, it's actually Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And the reason is because when they were bringing it to the American market, they did not think kids would want to read a book with the word philosopher in the title. So they changed it to Sorcerer. My mind just absolutely melted out of my ears. I can't believe, A, that they did this, and B, that I didn't know that. Like, oh, I was shook, you guys. Jeez. Whoa. Okay. Double clicked on another. We're almost done here. We are wrapping up. Okay. Again, this is trying to come from like a basic understanding of why the US, how the US was founded, and the basis for its operations. Okay. So newsflash. Supreme Court of the US rulings are not popularity decisions, nor should they be. The average American is incapable of truly interpreting the Constitution. Protest all you want, but if it matters this much to you, you must change the Constitution itself, i.e. have a new government. So again, I'm not getting into the topic of the decision that was made, what it involves, anything like that. What I'm saying is, in our society today, we believe that whoever's making the most noise should control the narrative, right? But in theory, again, how this country was founded, when the Supreme Court was founded, the Supreme Court is to be beyond political parties, political influence, and political bias. Yes, we know by human nature that's not possible, but that's the idea. Now, what I'm saying here, rulings are not popularity decisions, nor should they be. What I'm saying is, like, it really, for a Supreme Court ruling, it is not about what society wants, okay? These people were put as justices because they are interpreting the law and making a ruling based off of the interpretation of the law. So these people, in theory, again, here's a funny thing, you don't need to have, there's no formal qualifications to be a Supreme Court justice in the US, okay? But the idea is, as a Supreme Court justice, you are going to have expertise, knowledge, and experience in interpreting the law so that you can carry out the most unbiased and well-educated decision in how a law is interpreted, okay? That doesn't always mesh with what that society may find desirable, okay? But again, it is the law, right? Some people don't think certain drugs should be outlawed. Some people don't think there should be speed limits. You should wear whatever, seatbelt, whatever. Okay, again, that's great that people can think that and have that opinion, but that doesn't change the law, okay? So if this is something, and then the next sentence, the average American is incapable of truly interpreting the Constitution, which genuinely, that's not like a knock on anybody. That's just, again, stating a fact. Like, unless you've studied it, unless you've read it, unless you have court rulings and decisions to help broaden your understanding, unless you've studied political theory, unless, like, the average American, it is what it is, right? Everybody's going to interpret something in their own way, no matter what. So if I say, hey, I hope you have a nice day, somebody might be like, oh, what a nice guy. Somebody might be like, that guy was condescending, what the heck? And somebody might say, don't tell me what to do, right? So you're all going to interpret it a different way. But again, that's what the Supreme Court is for. And then here I say, protest all you want, but if it matters this much to you, you must change the Constitution itself, which is true, because like certain amendments are the way they are, more spelled out than others, right? And if you want it more specific, you have to get an amendment to the Constitution then. So then it is clear as day. So that's pretty much what I'm saying about this, okay? This is kind of, okay, this is getting into more specific, the topic of the Supreme Court ruling the other day. Last time Wade was trending this much, he was shooting 40 free throws per game en route to his first paid for by the refs finals, hashtag Mavs fan for life. Pretty intense fear mongering going on with all this, eh? Again, like, I think it's just a lack of knowledge and education, okay? Knowledge and education, not in education. Can someone please tell me how we could ever have a balance in the Supreme Court of the United States when there's an odd number of justices? I've seen a lot of this where, again, people are upset with this ruling, and they're saying like one of the steps to take in order to resolve this is to add to the number of justices on the Supreme Court, okay? Unless you have an even number, it will never be balanced, okay? That's like, get that in your head. Like, if you have 3 and one person thinks this and one person thinks this person who has to make a decision, they're gonna either choose this or this. So with an odd number, you'll never, ever, 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 ever have a balance. And that's the idea, because you can't have a balance because a decision has to be made. So like, we're getting down to it. I think we've only got a couple left. Again, this tweet is really what I've already said. Supreme Court of the United States doesn't make rulings based on trends. It is based off interpreting the supreme law of the land, okay? Thus interpreting the Constitution. And I'm really putting this out here out of frustration of lack of understanding. But maybe it is because emotions are playing into this right now. So it's not seen as, as important, but remember, the voices you hear aren't always the majority. One loud scream doesn't speak for the silent many. Again, just put things into perspective, right? And then, okay, so yeah, these are tweets that I had to edit, so I went back in there. So I'm gonna delete this one. And I hope I didn't just delete one. Okay, got it. Oh, okay, yeah. So I am deleting different versions of what I already posted that we went over at the beginning of this episode. This one as well. And why does it seem like they keep? Yeah, why does it seem like it's not actually deleting? Okay, I don't know why it's not deleting. Here, I'm gonna go out and then go back in. We'll see. Let's take a look. Just so you guys know, there were over 85 tweets. So if you've made it this far, just let me know somehow. Tweet at me, comment. Like, I really genuinely would be shocked if somebody made it all the way through this episode, but I appreciate it. Okay, so for some reason, it won't let me delete this one. I really don't know why. You can save this, send it. I guess I'll try deleting it, whatever. Oh, okay, now it worked. Okay, so 2 tweets left. And this is in response to a lot of what's going on right now in the world, because it is a fairly genuine question. So are you upset because of the decision or because of the system? Because this is exactly the purpose of the United States of America. If it's not expressly written in the Constitution, the decision is left up to each individual state. So really my question is coming from like, a lot of people are very upset and scared and bothered by this, that there's not going to be this federal or nationwide protection on what's happening right now. And again, my question is, are you upset because of that, or because it's going to be left up to the states? Because when the US was founded, this was the idea, because the people that founded the United States were trying to escape essentially a tyrannical government, which had too much oversight into areas of their life that they didn't want. And they believed that should be less relegated at a higher level. Thus, the founders decided, what should the federal government really have a say in? Okay, let's narrow it down to what we think is the most important, right? And if it's not stated in that list, then we're just going to leave it up to the states. Those states can decide for themselves. So my question with the people that are upset is it because the decision itself is upsetting, or is it because now the decision is going to be left up to your state and you're not sure if you are in a state that aligns more with your beliefs? Because, or I guess like, is it upsetting that the states themselves now have this decision to make? Because again, that's what the founding of America was. Because I saw somebody posted something about like, this is not the America I was promised or something. And it just left me very confused, because I'm like, that is exactly the America that you were promised. Because yeah, if a right is not decided at the federal level, then it's delegated down to the individual states. So that's what happened. So again, you know, genuine question there on that tweet. And the last one, you guys, I believe this in my head wholeheartedly, but then as I was making this tweet, I slowly, like towards the end, I'm like, oh crap. I mean, I guess I get why they call themselves parents. But the last tweet, you are not your pet's parent. Okay? Puke. You are not your pet's parent. You are their roommate that lets them live with you rent-free and pick up after them and clean them. Stop. So yeah, I mean, oh, this is my baby. This is my baby. Or oh my gosh, the worst is when like mommy's home, daddy's home, or when there's like a TikTok, it's like, yeah, my dog ignores me all day, but then when daddy's home, he's now best friends with him. Like, you guys are roommates and you just do everything for them. Like, leave it at that. Come on. Whatever. You guys, that's it. That's the episode. This was a long one. Trust me, I get it. I know that it was a long one. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I'm going to try to stop sharing here. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Super long episode. Kind of a one-off. I think what I'm going to, get back to doing is some of those more quote fun, like structured videos, the 1, 5, 10 challenge, the overrated, underrated, the one-word opinions, things like that. I think it'd be fun to like get people on and like interview them somehow. Like I've got questions in mind, so I think it'd be fun. So we'll see that going forward. But again, there's a lot going on in the world right now, and if I could just provide a little bit of entertainment, or maybe even help challenge your way of thinking and open your mind to different perspectives, that's awesome. But yeah, bye.